Welcome to Soya and Baila's world, where real talk meets real laughs. It's raw, real, relevant. From trending topics to untold stories, we dive deep, go off script, and say what you're really thinking. Whether it's culture, chaos, or candid combos, we're here to keep it raw, real, and ridiculously fun. New episodes drop weekly. Catch every episode on YouTube. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe on YouTube.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful to be here again at Soya and Baila's world. We have a very special program and a very special guest. Before we get to that, first of all, I want to welcome our hostess, Baila. Soya's away, so Baila, it's all yours today.
Oh, that's all of ours.
Okay. Anyway, as probably most of you have heard, it has happened again. Another hostile takeover of Columbia University, its library, and of course, it has essentially been commandeered without the authority, any legitimate authority behind such commandeering, and that's become something very, very common because this has been within the context of an ongoing eruption or explosion of anti-Semitism that has been latent but blew up after October 7th and has been ongoing since then. Baila, at that, I want you to introduce our very special guest today, and we'll get into the subject matter.
Thank you very much. Our special guest today is Bill Tinglin. Bill Tinglin is a visionary leader in social impact, humanitarian advocacy, and global unity. He's the founder and CEO of School News Nationwide, Goodwill Ambassador to Ukraine, United Nations, collaborator, as well as a distinguished speaker and member of the United Nations platform, where he strategically aligns with the non-governmental organization Economic and Social Council and the Conference of Non-Governmental Organizations. He is deeply committed to championing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And he is working closely with academic institutions and governments worldwide to advance those objectives. Bill's efforts are to promote educational empowerment and sustainable development, particularly in the area of anti-Semitism. Bill, welcome to Soya and Baila's world.
Thank you so very much, Sawyer, Baila.
It's an honor to have you, Bill.
Yeah, but
Bill,
I wanted
Bill,
to start off asking you is your work is renowned for promoting peace. You launched the World of Bonds in 2005, which is an initiative to bridge African American and Jewish communities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. African Americans, well, let's back up. My endeavor, my enthusiasm, my education when it comes to anti-Semitism started about 30 years ago when I met a wonderful lady by the name of Sarah Fishberg, a Holocaust survivor. I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, and I was given the task to write a story of how African-American slaves built Yonkers. In the interim, I met Sally Fishberg, Holocaust survivor, and Abraham and Baila. My life became revolutionized. So in the interim, in the spotlight of that, Sally and I have done many more, seen more than 100,000 people in speaking about the importance of anti-Semitism, education, and moreover, we have won several awards from congressmen, congresswomen, political organizations, all endeavors. Oh, Sally, God bless her, God bless her. We still work together, a little bit older now, but Sally got me started about 30 years ago, and now I am a prominent, thanks to her and many others, I am now prominent in the endeavor of anti-Semitism, Holocaust education. I'm a speaker, very important, very important. I'm a speaker as an African American, but important on the Israeli Speaking Bureau for the Consul General's office here in New York. So that shows you the importance of what we're doing.
And I understand, Bill, if I may, that you are about to get an honorary doctorate. We'll be calling you Dr. Bill very shortly.
Yes,
as well.
that is correct.
To be
That is
awarded.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. But let me continue to say that respond to the strength of Baylor's question. I do not come here today to merely as an author. I come to you as an African American, a man, a New Yorker, someone who knows deeply and personally what it means to walk through life's shadows by prejudice, weighed down by history, and still rising with hope. I'm speaking on and about someone who has lived the wounds that come from being misunderstood, misrepresented, and marginalized. Anti-Semitism, it's not someone else's battle, it is ours. So when hatred is allowed to flourish and unchecked, it becomes a wildfire. It does not pause to ask who you are or what you believe. It squashes all we hold dear, our dignity, values, and humanity. So there is a unique kinship, Brother Abraham and Baila, between African Americans and Jewish people. We are communities forged by fire, survivors of domestic and systematic brutality, bounded by our shared histories of slavery and genocide, displacement and struggle. So we know what it is to have our stories silenced, our children feared, and our existence questioned. So the Radio Outreach Initiative today is not just about academic exercise. It is a moral imperative, and thanks to you, Baila, and thanks to you, Abraham. So today's segment, we will pull anti-Semitism from the shadows to study its origins and to confront its presence and to educate generations.
That's exactly where I was going.
You cannot hide.
It's exactly where I was going now. Dr. Bill, Ambassador Bill, I wanted to ask you if you could just briefly tell us what are the underlying foundational causes of anti-Semitism? And then we'll step over to talk about how do we combat it?
Okay. Anti-Semitism did not begin in 1933, nor did it end in 1945. It is an ancient hatred, older than Holocaust, more enduring than any regime, from medieval ghettos to crusade massacres, from economic scapegoating to ritual murder. Myth anti-Semitism has shaped and shifted throughout history, wearing different masks, but speaking the same venomous language. So today it is digital, it is casual, it is global. So we see it on college campuses, like what's going on in Columbia University in many areas, where Jewish students are ostracized and political rhetoric veiled in dog whispers on social media platforms that normalize conspiracy theories and Holocaust denial. And still many remain silent. Would you believe that? But we must understand that anti-Semitism is not an isolated issue. It is an early warning system of social decay where anti-Semitism rise. So too does racism, xenophobia.
Yeah.
And
those who stay silent, that's acquiescence.
Indeed.
Silence is acquiescence.
Indeed. So Abraham and Baila, your radio segment forces us to confront a historical pattern, recognize that we will repeat it if we fail to challenge it.
It's incredible, Bill, how you point out that it is in fact something that goes beyond 33 to 45. It has always been there. It has existed no matter what situation the Jews happened to be living at the time, be it in Europe, wherever they were. If they were wealthy, they were hated because they were rich. And they were, if they were poor, they were hated because they were poor and downcast.
Yeah.
No matter what their socioeconomic status, somehow the anti-Semites always found a reason and an excuse to hate.
Well, from a psychological perspective, when you hate a person, no matter what they do, you're going to turn it into something bad. So, as you said, Abraham, when the Jews were rich, or rich Jews were hated because they were accused of stealing money from the non-Jews, and when they were poor, they were accused of being unhygienic. So, no matter what you do, when somebody hates you, you could never win with them.
That's correct. Ambassador Bill, Honorable Dr. Bill, what is being done to combat this? And I think this is primarily something you've devoted your entire life to combating this with. I think it's a fundamental, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a fundamental knowledge and understanding that if hatred is out there in the hearts of people and it attacks one group, sooner or later it'll go to another group. So anti-Semites are going to turn on African Americans, and bigots are going to turn on Asians. Everybody's going to turn on everybody else if that hatred is alive and around.
Yes.
But you've been spending your life combating it.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. This is the crux of it.
Indeed. Abraham and Bella, what triggered in my heart was when I was in Bogdanovka in the Ukraine, where 54,600 Jews were massacred in less than 14 days. I stood on that blood-soaked ground under my feet, where 54,600 people were massacred. A New Yorker going to the Ukraine, heard of such instances, but I tell you, when you're there, it's something else. I was with the youngest Holocaust survivor, Samuel Baikov. And while I was there with him, only 127 people survived that massacre out of the 54,600, and he was one of them. Bella and Abraham, while I was there, we were planting trees, 127 trees, to share with the world of the people who survived, those 127. And while I was planting a tree, I heard a voice that says, make sure that this doesn't happen again. I heard it loudly. I cannot explain it, but I'm a grown man and I know what I heard. And I looked up at Samuel, the Holocaust survivor, because we were together. He's my mentor and educator. I said, Samuel, did you hear that? Did you hear that, Samuel? He said, heard what? And I told him. And he put his hands on my shoulder and he says, son, we have a lot to do. So I have a picture of that in my book. Because of him, I wrote the book, One of Humanity's Darkest Hours, the untold story of the Holocaust. It's 427 pages, but it's nothing like this has ever been done, Abraham and Bella. Why? Because it goes back to the history of the Holocaust. It has barcodes and interactive technology in the book itself. The book speaks to you. It becomes alive.
In other words, it's interactive. You can, as you're reading, you can actually see a video or something that's connected to what you're actually reading.
That is correct. And if
that's incredible. That's the newest technology, and it's really so you've done this as an aid to educating.
Indeed.
To make it, okay.
2.5 years to put this together. We had some professors and some engineers, and we put it together. And we want this book to be in all the school systems, starting from the 8th graders on up to colleges, high schools. So we're looking at 90 million people. That's our target.
Wow. Wow, amazing. You can you talk a little bit about Tour for Tolerance and Innovation?
Sure. Tour for Tolerance started here again by the initiative of Sally Frisberg and I. And when we initiated this, in which we were interviewed, we went to school, from school to school to school, talking to the students, and we had the students interview Holocaust survivors and African American
Wow.
seniors about the atrocities of the past. And that's how Tour for Tolerance started. In the
I see.
interim of that, we have seen thousands of students, places of worship, arenas. Sally and I are hand in hand, and other people together. But let me share this with you. And I
Yes.
know you know this, but since we have listeners, I just want to share with them and us that hatred is not born, it is taught.
Yes.
But the good news is that understanding, compassion, and truth can also be taught. Education is the vaccine against the virus of bigotry, and is our most potent line of defense. So through my curriculum, and that is one of humanity's darkest hours, and the efforts of our courageous educators and students are not just learning dates, they are meeting people, they are hearing the testimonies of survivors, reading about children like themselves who are denied future, and grappling with what its items to be human in the face of inhumanity. So an organization like the Anti-Definition League, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, USC Shoah Foundation lead the discharges, and they are creating real change in classrooms, real changes through lesson plans, educating training, and community initiatives directly confronting anti-Semitism.
Right.
And I understand that.
We must do more.
Bill,
We must continue to do more.
always, Bill, but I understand that you have done this across the United States and beyond. You have been working this educational program all the way to countries across the world, literally.
Yes.
And you have really literally visited countries across the world.
Yes.
And have
Very,
done this.
very impressive. You know, Bill, Ambassador Bill, you are a role model. And I have to say, you are a young Martin Luther King, if I may say so. And I am absolutely in awe of your work. And I know I can speak for Abraham, who feels the same.
You can, Baila, because I was about to say that. And
Okay.
you remind me so much.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, he reminds me so much of the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King,
Yes.
one of the greatest, if not the greatest man of the past century, whose entire life was dedicated and devoted to love and to education and to understanding. And Bill, you've done this, you are doing the same thing.
Indeed.
Bill,
Indeed.
Bill, the book.
Yes.
Are you getting it out there now? How's it?
Yes, we recently were in Los Angeles recently at the Los Angeles Times book fair of University of Southern California, in which we're getting the book out.
Okay.
We are also trying to get our book in the system, our school systems here. We have sent it to Yaveshem. We're working closely with our Holocaust Museum in Long Island, also in Washington, D.C., our Holocaust Museum here in Manhattan. We're doing the best we can to get it out. However, Abraham and Bella, I believe the more audience, the more we speak of it, we must continue to demand that schools make Holocaust and human rights education a core part of their curriculum.
Right.
And I believe we must continue to cultivate empathy, not just intellect, in every student we reach. No, but
And it's very impressive. Your partnership with Jewish organizations are extremely impressive. For example, Yad Vashem and the Museum of Jewish Heritage, also the Museum of Tolerance. What is your position in those partnerships?
we are on the same avenue, the same parallel road of educating, influencing, and empowering the massive that Holocaust existed. It happened. And not because of that, Bella, Abraham, we have less than 14,000 Holocaust survivors remaining in New York. Less than 14,000. I don't think I'm doing enough.
Oh,
I want to be able
Wow.
to massively and pray to God every day to give me the strength, the understanding, and the wisdom. I want to get up on the mountaintop and share with everybody the importance of Holocaust education.
amen. And
Because
we
if we
bless
don't do
you,
what we're doing, it's going to repeat itself.
and we bless you, and we thank you for everything that you do, because
Yeah,
the
I second that.
the world needs more people like you, Dr. and Ambassador Bill, because what you're doing, and I hear, and if I'm hearing correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hearing that awareness and education is the panacea to hate.
Indeed.
That is the answer to bringing about peace in the world.
Indeed. So the great writer says, Abraham and Bella, while books inform, relationships transform. So this dialogue is a level, an opportunity of transforming through dialogue.
Bill,
We're
how
building
can people,
bridge between the worlds that history tried to keep us apart.
Bill, how can people reach out to you and to your organization if they want to, let's say, have you at a book signing, have you speak, have you, get, how do they access you, Bill?
Easy. BillTinglin.com. BillTingling.com. My name rings a bell, Tinglin. So just remember my first name, Bill Bell Tinglin.
It's just without the last G at the end. It's
You put a G at the end. It has a G at the end.
What can people do? What can people do, like the general public? I mean, what advice do you have for anyone that's experienced anti-Semitism? Because you know what, anti-Semitism is not just against the Jews. It extends to Americans. It extends to different groups. And you know, you mentioned the Holocaust. Adolf Hitler did not just kill the Jews. He killed anyone that he felt was beneath him, or at least that's what he said or preached. So it's not just anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem. It's a problem for the world. I wish people would get it.
Indeed. So in conjunction, in light of what you've just said, Bella, when a Black church invites a Holocaust survivor to speak, a synagogue hosts a gospel choir. Yeah. A Muslim, Christian, and Jewish leaders break bread together. Something powerful happens. We remember who we are. We recognize that humanity is not defined by our differences, but by our dignity.
Yes.
So there are living examples of this, the legacy of Salem, where Black and Jewish leaders march arm in arm for civil rights. Interfaith initiatives in New York, Los Angeles, and beyond continue the force of solidarity. So we must take it further. We must host dialogue in our schools and places of worship and community centers. We must break that silence before the silence breaks us. So what,
and ladies and gentlemen, for the appropriate leadership, again, that's Bill Tinglin, TINGIL.com, where you can reach out to Bill. And again, you can arrange to have him speak or make arrangements for any kind. He will direct you, he will guide you as to how to go about combating this illness that has affected society everywhere. Indeed. And maybe hopefully with Bill and others like him, we will be able to make peace throughout the world. Bill, it has been an unbelievable honor to have you. And not just myself, Baila, the entire world, not just the Jewish people, the world is grateful for everything that you and your people and people like you do for the entire world. We thank you with our full heart.
I know you have to close, but the great writer says on this wonderful last words, it says that we can only build the moral resilience that makes hatred unwelcome through the intentional outreach and sustained relationship building.
Right.
That's very important.
So unity is very important. It's important that everyone sticks together. Would you say that?
Indeed. Indeed. It's a bond. It's like many of you biblical scholars know the relationship, know the strong relationship David had with Jonathan. You know,
Right.
their parents, or one may say, the people above them were adversaries.
Right.
But here we have two young leaders. They were bonded,
Yes.
together.
Yes.
So we could
Yes.
take that example.
So let's take that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's remember we have awareness, education, unity, understanding, and that will bring love and peace. On that note, Baila and I want to thank you. This has been a special edition of Soya and Baila's World. Again, the Honorable Bill Tinglin, thank you again for all that you do. And we look forward to having you again as a guest at some time in the near future.
I am
And-
most honored, Baila.
Yeah, and may we have peace in the world.
Indeed.
Amen. Amen.
So it's at billtingling.com. BILLTINGLING.com.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
I'm most honored. Bye-bye.